historically, and it's still in most facilities, that's done just based on looking between someone's legs.
The issue of transgender inmates is complicated. A person who biologically is built like a man or a woman, but who identifies in every other way with the other sex.
What makes it more difficult is when somebody's partway through a sex change.
Penobscot County Sheriff Glenn Ross and sheriffs all over Maine are trying to figure out what to do, especially when it's a biological male who identifies as a female.
For a transgender woman who has breasts, who clearly is a woman, dropping her inside a men's prison, rather, is incredibly dangerous.
Harper Jean Tobin of the National Center for Transgender Equality says this is playing out all over the country.
One thing we learned is that there's no gold standard here, so we're learning as we go along and trying to do the right thing.
The National Center for Transgender Equality works to raise awareness for trans people, including those behind bars.
More than 200,000 people every year are sexually assaulted behind bars. Trans people are far more likely to be assaulted, 13 times more for transgender women who are housed in men's prisons, as they often still are.
For Sheriff Ross, when an inmate identifies as a woman but has male parts, he can't guarantee a private cell due to overcrowding, and solitary confinement is not a fair option.
We can't isolate a person just because they are in a sex change. You have to evaluate through mental health the risk to other inmates and to the inmate themselves and what they're prepared for housing.
In Maine and here in Penobscot County, each transgender inmate is treated individually with an open dialogue between jail administrators, mental health experts, and the inmates themselves, not only looking at these safety issues, but also simple things like which pronouns are going to be used when speaking to the inmate.
How they're addressed, how they're spoken to, how they're dealt with in terms of search procedures that can really be everyday struggles for transgender people if their identity is disregarded.
Down in Cumberland County, Sheriff Kevin Joyce has been nationally recognized for dealing with transgender inmates.
It takes out any question on behalf of the corrections officer on how to deal with it.
Cumberland County books inmates based on the gender they identify with. Then they're placed in a side cell for up to 72 hours to decide where they should be housed.
The only right that they've given up is their freedom. Everything else is a right. This is not going to go away. This is going to continue to become something that jails are going to have to deal with.
Samantha Edwards, News Center.